Hansi, and welcome to the Female Factor, where we explore how women work in a range of different careers. We discuss how they navigate their careers, who they look up to, and any lessons they would like to share. Before we get into the actionable takeaways from the story so far, I wanted to highlight an aspect that often goes unsaid. Do women have to work harder to get to the same acknowledgement for the same work?
It is possible because I do that. I always go my extra smart. You have to be extra careful that you are always doing the right thing and being at least one of the best to have that seat at the table. And I always feel that this is either because women, we are just perfectionists a lot of the time, or that there is this extra demand for women to be just a little bit better.
And when they do the same thing as men, are they held to different standards?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few cases. So if woman is vocal, then they say it's not a strong leadership. They say it's kind of witch or very not nice words. I mean, following that female leader. So there are some double standards. I mean, I see in the meeting rooms, even in very senior meeting rooms.
Okay, so what can firms do to ensure a good pipeline of women? One of the reports I researched said that many firms have begun to apply a version of the Rooney Rule, which requires the National Football League, which is the NFL, teams to interview at least one minority candidate when filling vacancies to candidate searches. Consultants are also talking about this. The problem arises when high potential diverse candidates are included but rarely hired because of a lack of a cultural fit. That's when leaders have to take a more inclusive approach. DWS has a pretty high percentage of women in the leadership team, so I was especially keen to hear from Vanessa.
In order to promote women into a higher position like my leadership team, I think we have to really be very, very conscious and then really offer flexibility. That means a director, I would not meet a person's, maternity leave or nursing to exchange her promotion opportunity because I couldn't measure her in the same way. I have to measure by ability, not by just tenure. I need to make sure I offer our office a very mommy friendly, and also it takes so much to create that path in order for women. But I think the reward of having a very inclusive decision making body at the highest level is super rewarding because not just gender but also diversity in terms of language and culture. You really bring a lot of smart ideas to the table, help us to propel.
The global companies have to take a lead, be it listed companies in the US and the rest of the world, the UK, European companies. They need to sort themselves out first, right? And really focus on that gender pay gap and, as you say, that equal opportunity.
How the industry treats junior staff, I think male or female, that needs to, if someone tells you I've been doing this forever, well, guess what? Someone coming up 5 years from now or someone doing it now probably knows a lot more about those changes that are happening.
The surroundings or pressures, peer pressures, is like a little bit stronger. We set up the network for like a asset management women's forum, AMWF in Tokyo, like in Japan, like in 2 years ago. It started from like 4 companies in the beginning, but then next year became like 15, and now like 20 companies joined. For the business wise, we are competing each other, with other companies. But for this activity, we try to enhance industry wise like all the bottom up. When like you talk within the company, like the discussion, like all the issues are limited. But like if you talk with the people outside of the company, like maybe like a more like a different perspective or the viewpoint like comes in.
You're not getting that pipeline going all the way to the senior levels because of the fact that you don't have sufficient policies that is supportive of a woman's career. So that to me is the key rather than it being finance. But when it comes to getting to the top job, the decision makers, because if you look at the makeup of the board, your remuneration and committee and nomination committee chairs are usually men. So whether it's conscious or not conscious, I think it's purely because they think, okay, this is who I have and this is what I'm comfortable with. I don't see the women. So literally they don't see. You don't want to be only that one or two woman on the board of 15, right? Because then you're thinking, oh my goodness, how do I get myself heard? What if I disagree? Because at the end of the day, a lot of it has to be collective, right? The decision making. So I think that's why it's very important to actually have the ability for decision makers to be women, right? I'm also on boards where I'm the only female, so yeah, different dynamics. But what is very, very clear is that your average age is still late 60s, early 70s. So I'm still the young lady. I've been called that many times, yes. I think if you wanted to, you can take offense at anything and everything, right? So I've never had that attitude, so I don't take it negatively. I just say thank you.
Now let's turn to what women can do differently. Hear what our guests had to share for the next generation of women coming up in the industry.
But I just want to give you that little voice, which is if you really don't enjoy doing it, then don't stay at work just because you feel you have to. Be brave, okay? You only get this chance a few times in your life. So if you really feel gutted that you're at work while your baby is, playing at home, then quit, go home and come back, right? Plan your return because it is so important that you are happy with what you're doing and you respect yourself for making that decision. Now, mind you, once you've made that decision, stick to it and don't tell yourself that, oh, I'm a bad person because I'm at work and I'm not being able to spend time with my daughter or my son. If you think like that, you should go home, take a short leave or a longer leave, and then plan your career again. We absolutely can do that now. But all this time, be prepared for the next opportunity that comes to you. And if you are prepared, you can take it. If it's a situation when you're treated unfairly, and I have been through that myself at a younger age, my decision was to walk away and to create something different, create another career. Because I often think that if you are confident in yourself, the best gift or the best way to deal with someone who you disagree with is to walk away from that person and create something completely different, better, more profitable than what you've been doing in the past. Choose me, I'm good.
Having a development plan is very, very important. And again, you can't leave a development plan up to your manager to do it for you. You need to have one for yourself, depending on what stage of your career you're in. It could be technical. For me, a lot of it's now is around the softer skills. And because, I think about where I want to get to, where I want to be in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, and what are the skill sets that I need to work on. There is also an element of, if you want to be kept informed, you need to let your team know.
Be courageous. Try something new. I read a Harvard study, and that was actually quite influential for my career, is to understand how your boss's learning style. It's no negotiation for you to work well with your boss, how I communicate with them. But I may be learning differently in order for people to work.
But I think for the next generation, I really like women not to take no so easily. When people tell you no, you have to think, is it really a no for yourself? And if you truly believe in your ability and in the road that you're traveling, then by all means continue with it. Be prepared for adversity. So building resilience, even when you're comfortable, right? You think in fear. So you think that, what if something goes wrong? Am I covered? So this is more risk management thinking.
Do you think that really works? Do you think that building resilience, can you think your way through building resilience? Do you actually have to experience it?
I think you have to experience it in some way, but you also can learn from how other people experience it. If you look around people around you, there are some people who've gone through situations. There are people who have the resilience and they ride through the crisis. There are those who got hit by the crisis and never recover.
There's that question about work-life balance that all young women want to know about. I found Regina's views quite honest.
It's no such thing as having it all. So I'm just wondering whether we've made mistakes. Our generation have made mistakes to the point that we've scarred them in some way. Is it because we have had it all and then somehow things have not gone right in certain ways? I think that's something to be examined. So what I found from the older generation, not our generation, but the older generation, they would say that I got here because of my skills purely. It's not because I'm a woman. So they don't want to recognize that they're a woman, right? So to me, that's wrong too. But I think we need to be a bit less harsh to the younger generation because, and I saw it in my team members, some of the female managers were a lot more harsh on the other women who were pregnant or whatever, just saying like, oh, I came back after 3 months. I had no issues after giving birth. Why are you complaining and so tired, etc.? So I think, we don't do ourselves any favors. So I think that's something that we need to also be a bit kinder to fellow women.
I also asked her about tips on how women dress in the workplace. I must admit, I've always been confused. Should I dress the same way as other senior women do? In India, I notice senior women in finance wear saris, but I'm not as comfortable in a sari during the day. Also, I don't feel old, so must I really dress my age?
I know my mom's not very happy with the way I dress. She's like, oh, I think you need to dress your age, and I'm like, what does that mean? I've always wanted to dress differently. So in the local capital markets, I'm known as the one that comes out with really loud suits. So I'm very comfortable wearing a red suit, a yellow suit, whatever. Simply because I wanted to purposely stand out because I don't want to look like the rest of the hall as such. As long as I'm comfortable, that's what matters. Yeah, so I don't believe in blending in.
Exactly my thoughts. In this episode, we heard that today women are working harder and are held to different standards. We need to acknowledge this to be able to do something about this. We then heard about best practices that workplaces can adopt to attract and retain women. We also heard suggestions that younger women can follow to navigate their careers better. If you found this useful, please do share the series with your workplace and other women. I'm Hansi, and we are talking about the female factor.